You are now tuning into a drop of melancholy. If you are in a good mood and wish to remain so, do not watch this video.
Now, people always judge others over the stupidest things, but for some reason they don't judge their evil God. I'm gonna give you an example. So one time I was standing in the customer service line at Walmart trying to return some merchandise, and it was a lady behind me. Should be middle-aged, probably like mid-40s, and it was a girl. I guess it was her daughter. Her daughter liked to be 20 or 21, something like that. And I had just left the gym, and my back's fully tatted, so I guess she had noticed that, and she had started like talking about it and like asking me questions and stuff like that. She was like, oh, well, a lot of people look down on that kind of stuff. They don't like tattoos and a lot of piercings, and people will put you in a certain category if they see you like that. And I mean, actually, I get told this a lot. I don't know why, but I always hear this from like the older generation, just people in general. And I hear them talk about other people also, like either to their face or behind their back, about appearances and stuff like that. So yeah, at this point, I'm frustrated. So I respond by asking, do you attend church? And she appeared to be a church-going person. So I asked her, do you go to church? And she gave me a funny look, because that seemed off topic, but I asked. And she said, yeah, I go to church a lot. I go a few times a week. And I was like, okay, well, why are you so quick to pass judgment on other people? Do you judge your God? And she was like, what do you mean judge your God? And I was like, okay, well, y'all always praising God. Y'all always saying he's so good, this and that. Do you judge him for all the wrong he's caused, for all the suffering he's inflicted on humanity? And then like she kind of froze. There was a bunch of people standing in line, and they were on their phone. They was acting like they weren't listening, but I know they was listening, because some people had started smiling, and some people was laughing, and some people looked like they were in shock. But she was in shock herself, and she was like, no, I never really thought of that. And I was like, okay, well, instead of always judging people, why don't you judge your God for all the wrong he do? And of course, like always, they have some sort of rebuttal. They're gonna defend God no matter what. And she was like, well, it's not God that's causing all this. And then I'm like, okay, well, y'all say he's in control, right? Y'all say he's all knowing, right? So how can he not stop it? And then she kind of just like, she held her head down. And I say this all the time, like when you call people out on their BS, they don't know what to say, because they can only be, you can't bullshit a bullshitter, right? And her daughter was standing there. Her daughter started smiling, because I guess she was kind of glad I was calling her mom out, or her grandmother, or whoever it was. But she started smiling, and I don't think she agreed with her church-going parents either. It was kind of quiet standing in line, and other people were looking. People behind the register were looking, and I guess they probably thought I was being rude to her, but that wasn't the goal. I wasn't trying to be rude to her. I was just trying to call. She was kind of calling me out, so I was trying to call her out. After I learned she was like a church-going person. So if they thought I was being rude to her, that's not the case. I wasn't trying to be rude to her. It may have sounded like that because I get worked up over these conversations. I raise my voice. I get very worked up, when it come down to this. So, she humbled herself right there, and then she was like, well, just try to have a little bit of faith, and maybe it'll help your situation out. I was like, well, I don't need help, okay? There's nothing I need help with. I'm fine. But the problem is, you all just worship an evil God, and you're oblivious to it. And you shouldn't be oblivious to it. Just open up your eyes and look around. Just take a look at what's going on here. And mind you, there's at this point, people are listening to what I'm saying. There's like a line of people, and everybody's listening, But I don't care. I mean, they can listen all they want. She was getting kind of embarrassed. She was turning red. I didn't mean to put her on the spot like that. And I'm surprised no one else tried to get into the conversation, because that's usually what happened. It's like talking about politics. You talk about politics, if someone don't agree with you, they're going to butt in the conversation. But I mean, me and this lady's conversation was pretty heated, so maybe that just deterred them from wanting to get in. After that, I mean, she was quiet. I returned my stuff, and that was it. That was the end of that conversation. I just wanted to share that story because it's like people will judge you for every little thing. Like I got gauged ears, right? People judge me for that. People always say, "Oh, why did you do that to yourself?" I mean, I got a tongue piercing too, but I took it out, and people be like, "Oh, well, why would you want to do that? You might be stereotyped, or if you try to get a certain job, you might be looked down upon." But the point is, like, they'll judge other people regardless of, you don't know how that person's work ethic is. That person might be fully tatted up. That person might have a plethora of piercings. It don't matter. If that person have a good work ethic, let's say his piercings or his tats won't negate his work ethics. People judge you for the most stupidest things. And I told y'all that story because they won't judge their God. He's doing all this, inflicting all this harm upon humanity, but no one calls that out. So like when I confront someone about that, if they judge others or if they judge me, and I ask them that, well, what's up with your God? Why don't you call him out? And they don't say nothing. They don't say nothing because they know they're wrong, and they know they're defending this evil God. Okay. I had family members that was the same way. They called me out on something. It was something stupid. They called me out on it. And I was like, all right, well, why don't you call your God out on it? All this suffering he's inflicting on humanity, why don't y'all call that out? Why don't you say something about all those children that died in WW2? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get banned, but y'all know what I'm talking about. And just the countless amount of suffering. I'm like, well, your God's in control, right? Your God loves us, right? Well, why didn't he do something about that? And then they don't say nothing. Because when you catch them in they BS, what can they say? I mean, if you're like a church-going person and someone come at you with a question like that, what can you say? I mean, it's only so much defending God you can do until you just like a jackass. You know what I mean? So yeah, when you call them out on it, when they call you out and then you call them out on worshiping God, their evil God, then yeah, it shuts them up. Every time someone says something to me about that, that's what I ask. I'm like, well, do you go to church? And 9 out of 10 times they say, yeah. And then we take it from there. I'd be like, okay, well, do you judge your God? And they'd be like, well, no, why not? Well, why don't you judge your God? You see everything that's going on this planet, everything that's taking place. Why don't you judge your God? I think he needs to be judged. I've told people that before, and they responded by saying, oh, well, God's going to send you to hell. And just that right there, I honestly don't care if God send me to hell, because I don't want to be with him no way, because I don't want to serve an evil God. But that's besides the point. But if God send you to hell, that just means he's evil, and I tell him that too. Well, that just goes to show that you do worship an evil God. He gonna send someone to hell for all eternity. The punishment don't fit the crime. God sending somebody to hell is like you being thirsty, going into a 7-Eleven, stealing a 50-cent bottled water, and then they catch you and they want to give you 10 consecutive life sentences. That's the equivalent of God sending you to hell, okay? The punishment doesn't fit the crime. So these people going to church and worshiping that, what does that say about them? They need to judge themselves, because at the end of the day, they're the evil ones, okay? Don't judge someone because they got gauged ears. Judge yourselves because you're worshiping the evil God. They want to pass judgment onto others, but by them simply attending these churches and praising the Lord, they're condoning what he's doing, okay? They're condoning all the evil doing that he's conducting. That's all they're doing. But no one's gonna call that out. No one's gonna say nothing about that. Just keep that on the hush. That's fine. Let's call out people that got tats and gauged ears and piercings. Let's call that out. But we're gonna go to church and worship this evil God that have 5-year-olds suffering from terminal illnesses. No, that's fine. Let's not say nothing about that. I know I'm not the only one that sees this, but yeah, it's completely ass backwards. And when you call these people out like that, another thing they like to do is throw Satan into it. I mean, they don't have no other answer, so they'd be like, oh, well, the devil's responsible for all that. The devil's doing it. You should blame the devil. And honestly, Satan's nothing but a scapegoat for God, okay? They need someone to point fingers at. They're not going to point fingers at their God, okay? Because remember, their God is good, so they're not going to point fingers at him, although he's doing all this wrong. No, they're going to point fingers at Satan, okay? He's nothing more than a scapegoat for their evil God. So rather than pointing fingers at their evil God, they're going to point fingers at Satan, okay? Whenever something bad happened, oh, the devil made me do it. Oh, Satan did it. He's responsible. Yeah, let's point fingers at him. No, I mean, what do they say? God's in control, right? They don't say Satan's in control. They say God's in control. Apparently, he's all powerful. Okay, well, he'll be able to stop Satan, right? I mean, after all, he's all powerful, right? So none of this adds up. You see what I mean? I know I'm going on a rant. I'm gonna stop this video, but I just wanted to share that story with you, how people are so quick to pass judgment on others. I know people that are fully tatted up. They got excellent work ethics. They'll do anything you need. They'll work all day. So I don't know why people judge others because of their appearance. Does that work sometimes? Maybe. But you shouldn't judge someone just based on how they look and let that be a determining factor whether they're able to work a certain job or whatever. It's just not right. So when people say something like that, then I ask them, well, do you judge your God? Okay, and I'm gonna end it there. I'll be posting more videos soon, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. As always, embrace your inner darkness.